The data suggests a recession is coming, and I made over $1 million last time, so let's talk about how you can win while others are losing. Hi guys, it's Mark. So a recession is inevitable, which means people will face financial trouble, possibly lose their jobs, and maybe even their homes as well. But this doesn't have to be you. If you make the right decisions now, then a recession will be a golden opportunity to make more money than you've ever imagined. After all, it's coming, so you may as well profit from it. So in this video, I'm going to share the blueprint I used to make millions of dollars in the last big recession. And as you can probably tell from my hair color, I've lived through 2 major recessions, so I'm experienced when it comes to this topic. But hold your horses, before we can get into how you can beat a recession, we first need to talk about what a recession actually is. Recently, the economy has been booming. Products have been selling faster than ever, and companies have been growing at breakneck speeds. But at the same time, the world is unstable and things are beginning to unravel. A recession is measured by GDP, which stands for Gross Domestic Product. Now, this might sound boring, but it's the total amount of all value created in an economy. If you were to buy this RC car from me, for example, this would actually contribute towards the GDP. Now, if this goes down for more than 6 months, we're officially in a recession. By the way, if you want to buy this car, let me know. Before the last big recession in 2008, I spotted the signs early on, and I knew there was a prize waiting for me as long as I could complete the 3 challenges that stood in my way. Nowadays, this mission remains the same, and you can set yourself up for the same success by following my strategy, no matter who you are. The first challenge was the stock market. I needed to figure out how to outsmart it, and this is still just as important for you to focus on today. Stocks are one of the easiest things to start investing in, as it requires very little time and effort to get started, and the upside potential is huge. No one tells you this at school, but if you have an average salary and invest 10% of it correctly each month, then you're almost guaranteed to become a millionaire. So is now the right time to buy stocks, or is it best to wait considering the uncertain times ahead? Well, the sad thing is, when it comes to investing, most people don't even get started, as they see the stock market as a place for the rich to get richer and too complicated for the everyday person. Unfortunately, of the few that do pluck up the courage to start investing, most only do so when everything's booming and lose interest, or worse, sell their stocks as soon as things take a turn for the worse. This just leaves them trying to time the market for the best possible re-entry point, which probably isn't going to come anytime soon. So as much as the stock market is about strategy, it's also about psychology. A dip is technically the best entry point, but the hardest to get excited about. I get that investing your money every month and then watching the prices go down is so demoralizing. It just feels like you're burning money and getting nowhere, but it's all about thinking long term. Let me take you back to 2008. The business I started from scratch was gaining some real traction, and I was enjoying providing a nice life for my wife and 10-year-old son. Now, when I say nice life, I could have been going crazy and letting the money go to my head. My accountant once said, "With the amount of income you have, Mark, you could be living like a king, but instead you live like a church mouse." But that was all part of the plan. I knew that a recession would come and that a market crash would also be right around the corner. I saw firsthand when my dad was impacted by a recession in the 1970s, and I didn't want the same for me and my family. So all while my business was booming, my products flying off the shelves and my income looking like it would never end, I was saving up my money ready to deploy. Most people couldn't understand this, and many of my friends were saying I should invest in this stock because it was the next big thing. Honestly, every week it felt like there was another next big stock that was just ready to go to the moon. You might have heard the saying, cash is trash. And for the most part, I agree, but not during a recession. Don't get me wrong, I was investing, but I wasn't being drawn into the hype. This was extremely hard, but in the long term proved to be the correct decision. I'm not claiming to be a financial fortune teller, but I do know a thing or two. The US stock market has always recovered after a crash. A decline in stocks doesn't necessarily mean a recession is inbound, and a recession doesn't always mean a crash in the stock market. So knowing all these things, it wasn't smart for me to sell my stocks when the recession hit, but it was a good opportunity to buy some more. I dubbed the strategy I used the 90-10 formula. Very original, I know, but it's something you can also do today. The 90 refers to 90% of my stock market budget that I allocated to index funds and ETFs. These require very little thought as they spread my money between multiple different companies without me having to lift a single finger. The 10 refers to the remaining 10% of my stock market budget that I allocated to more risky long-term plays like investing in small undervalued companies. If there's one thing that I know, it's that the stock market can only trade at an unrealistic price for so long, be that high or low, meaning that if the stock is undervalued, it will eventually rise to its true value. But the same rule applies for overvalued stocks. This is why I limit this kind of investing to 10%, as even with my fundamental analysis, which is essentially checking the balance sheets and cash flow statements of a company, I can't be right 100% of the time. But at the end of the day, with smaller individual stocks, the upside potential is so huge, you don't even need to risk more than 10% of your money. The main message here is not to sell and keep investing, if anything, more aggressively than before. I mean, would you hold back when all your favourite items were selling at bargain prices? Of course you wouldn't. So why is it any different when the stock market is on sale? If you want to start investing, then it's great to get your journey kick-started with a free stock from public.com worth between $3,000 and $1,000 if you're in the USA. I'll leave a link down below if you'd like to pick that up. Just remember, with investing, your capital is at risk. But let's address the elephant in the room. I know that most people want it all now and they don't care about investing for the long term to eventually retire a millionaire. Guess what? I agree. There's no better way to get rich than fast. However, there's nothing stopping you investing in your future while getting rich now. Now that we've smashed through the investing wall, we're faced with the next big challenge, getting rich fast through business. When I say the word business, lots of people think it sounds like too much work. I'm not here to tell you it's easy, but when 47% of millionaires are business owners, it's clear that this is a way you can become rich fast. And I should know because I've done it. Nowadays, you don't even have to commit to starting a full-fledged business when there are so many opportunities waiting for you online. These are commonly known as side hustles. This is just a fancy way to say a small business, typically run as a side project in your spare time while still working a normal job. This gives you stability and also huge income potential. The truth is that during a recession, those that have planned and saved money, like you have, hold far more power. I first noticed this when I was in China finding products to sell in my UK stores. As soon as the economic situation changed, I had far more negotiation power to buy in smaller quantities at discounted prices. The conversation quickly shifted from how many containers do you want to how can we help you fill a container. I'm aware that you're probably not in China sourcing products, but the lesson is still the same. During a recession, your negotiation power goes through the roof. For every business or side hustle, you have suppliers, so this is a great opportunity to renegotiate your prices and increase your margin. Now, a margin is essentially the difference between what you pay for a product and what you sell it for. It's your profit. Another way to create more margin is to increase your prices. I used my design skills to design this model aircraft, and this stood out from the competition. That allowed me to charge more money and earn more profit. The one thing I say to anyone who starts a business or side hustle is that it's easy to give products away, but it takes skill to run a profitable operation. So if you can decrease your costs while increasing your prices, then you're really killing it. After obliterating the business barrier, it's easy to sit back and think that you're done. However, the real estate challenge still has to be cracked. Once you've managed to break through the first two challenges like I did, then the chances are that you'll be in a very good financial position. At this point, one of the best things you could possibly do is invest in real estate. I always hear people say it's too hard to find good deals, which is true most of the time, but certainly not in a recession. I mean, just take this experience for example. One day I was driving around the industrial estate where my warehouses are based, you know, doing donuts and handbrake turns.
No, you weren't, Dad.
All right. I was just having a bit of fun. Let's go back to the real story. I saw the abandoned unit at the end of the estate had its door open, which was a rare sight. No one was ever in that building. Being the nosy guy that I am, I wandered along to check it out. My initial thought was that someone had broken into the property. So I put my superhero pants on and cape and went to sort out the problem.
In your dreams, Dad.
Yeah, all right. When I stepped into the warehouse, I was greeted by the sight of a dishevelled man surrounded by paperwork. We got talking and it turned out he owned the property. After chatting with him for a while, I uncovered that he was in a bit of a financial state and needed to sell his warehouse as soon as possible. It was worth around $300,000 at the time, so I offered him a cool $150,000 with the agreement that I'd pay in full within the week. He obviously said no. In fact, he laughed me out of the building. Fast forward a couple of days and he was at my door shaking my hand and we had a done deal. This isn't an isolated incident. This type of thing happens all the time during recessions and you don't always need $150,000 up front, but of course it does help. To show you how powerful money is, when I bought this house there were 6 people offering more money than I was, but I got the deal because I could offer the cash a lot faster than anyone else, and that's enabled me to nearly finish the north wing. The recession does 2 very important things. First, it puts pressure on the sellers, as they might have lost their jobs or had their income slashed. This means that they could be finding it harder to meet their mortgage payments and are being forced to sell. Second, it cuts down the amount of buyers, as most people didn't prepare like you did and therefore have no money and a weak credit score. These 2 things together flip the market from a seller's market to a buyer's market. If you can find a property off market like I did, then that's even better, as you're able to cut out the agent fees and also have less competition. Even if you don't have money during these times, you can still make a profit from deal sourcing and even flipping houses with an investor. The absolute best time to buy is when everything is discounted, so you can build equity during a boom and smash that wall down and enjoy the profits. So I'm going to leave the next video right up there, but don't click on it just yet. Make sure to subscribe if you want to grow your wealth. Okay, I'll see you over there.